We could not reduce anything to the screen, to the propaganda, to the clips. There is something other in the history, in the people. I think the West has succeeded in imposing the agenda, the image that Russia is going to lose, that everybody supports Ukraine, and the West is doing everything in order to stop this aggressor. So that is the main image, including in the country, that is very interesting, who still want to promote their own sovereignty. I think that is first important thing, that on the surface of the media, on the global level, everybody supports West, humanity is against Russia, and so on. But it is not so in Russia, because Russia is more or less habituated. We have long experience to stay against everybody. During Soviet periods, during Stalin periods, during Russian Empire, we fought everybody for save our identity. And that is not unusual for us. So we could say we don't care about this great victory of global humanity supporting the West. We don't care. And that really counts. That for us really counts, because with that knowledge, we could win, we could stay true to our identity, and we could have the victory. So that is important. Second, I think that the global media don't transmit the real relations. So as long as I know, the people, including in Europe, many people support Russia because they hate really globalism, this American hegemony, the West, and so on. In the Arab world and the Muslim world, the huge support of population is on the side of Russia. So the media is obliged to say that everybody is on side on the West. But in the reality, it's something different. In China, I could not judge. It's better to address this question for Mr. Zhang Weiwei. But I think there is a kind of gap between information that is more or less on the side of the West and taken from the Western sources, and the reality of the relation and attitude of population that is quite different. So I think that informational war is not total war. It's not the whole. We have the other dimensions. And what is important, we didn't lose the war inside of Russia. Our population now, in absolute majority, is in favor of special military operation. That was an unthinkable. No protest. The total solidarity with Putin and with army. So that is, I am astonished a little bit about that. It's not thanks to our own propaganda. It is just in the correspondence and resonance with Russian mood, historical mood. And I think that after our victory, this balance of already won informational war of the West, comparing with concrete loss of the real war, will produce opposite effect. So the truth will be on the silent or silenced part of the population, and we could not reduce anything to the screen, to the propaganda, to the clips. There is something other in the history, in the people, and I think now that will mean the end of global empire of lie, of the Western controlled system of global propaganda, of this liberal network of warfare. In that level, they have won. On other levels, not at all, not yet. And when we have a victory, everybody will be obliged to consider how fragile is this network warfare, how shallow is this propaganda, how incapable is lie to fight against the reality. So I think that will be great resurrection of the reality and the reality check against this organized network informational system.
Actually, Putin's speech, I think on the March of 16th, in which he described this idea of an empire of lies. And the Chinese find a lot of agreement with that. His remarks about this Western media as empire of lies find echo, a strong echo among the Chinese audience. Especially, China has suffered so much from the prejudice, lies, fake news cooked up by the Western media, especially this lies about Xinjiang. It's so ridiculous. People laugh their heads off, It's so stupid, Because before the COVID-19, every year, Xinjiang received 200 million tourists, most cases from other parts of China. We have video of friends or relatives there. We know what's happening there. So this kind of lies outlandish. As a result, Western media, including mainstream media, have very low credibility today in China. Same happening within the Western world. So fake news word created in the West. I look at the opinion surveys. 50% people in the United States don't believe their mainstream media. Same with the UK. So this again self-defeating. When you create so many lies, your credibility has lost. So you will receive this kind of punishment only naturally. And also, I think, as large powers like Russia and China, we may lose a bit in the information war, because after all, you have the English as major media, you have BBC, CNN, New York Times, you have a lot of influence, traditional audience, you control most social media platforms. Yet for major power, it's very different. You may lose a bit information war, but we can achieve strategic objectives one by one. Look at the past decades, so many lies about the collapse of China. I always see, as an individual scholar, my predictions about China over the past 4 decades were far more accurate than CNC, BBC, New York Times combined. Yeah. So out of touch with China's reality, people laugh at them. So don't worry about this. In the end, as just now you mentioned this, people find that your report, your forecast, your analysis of China are so shallow and sort of fake news and fake forecasts. So this is different. For major powers, they're different. For many small countries, if there is a rumor spread by BBC, the country may immediately become politically unstable and the president will collapse.
So as far as the war of information is concerned, as mentioned by Professor Dugin, that the West does monopolize the information channels and networks upon which they cast their propaganda. But that does not alter the fundamental reality that NATO is a threat to the world. NATO is a threat to the world peace. They run over countries like Libya for no odd reason. They run over countries like Iraq. No weapons of mass destruction were ever found. They run over countries like Afghanistan. They have nothing to do with 9/11 as far as directly these countries are concerned. Pakistan, 100,000 people dead, nothing to do with 9/11. And purportedly those countries that, according to their narrative, that did have something to do with 9/11, they continue to remain their allies. So it is evident as crystal clear and as daylight that NATO, existence of NATO is a threat to the world peace. When I say the West, it means the preponderant powers that are in control of the policymaking process of the West. They are very few and they are very small and they are dangerous. And so I don't think that they control, they have a moral authority or a moral majority anywhere. It is a very tiny elite that has diabolical worldview. And many people increasingly, as the days go by, they are aware of this.